Welcome to Sometimes There's Side Eye, a podcast about two friends having real and unfiltered conversations about dogs and people. Listen as we talk about our lives with dogs, training, behavior, share some laughs, and a whole lot of banter. I'm Heather.
And I'm Christy. And what are we talking about today?
Oh boy, this is very exciting. We're going to talk about potty training, and I know that Christy is just cannot even believe how exciting this topic is.
Well, I do think it's a great topic because I feel like everyone asks questions, even to me, and I have not had a puppy in over 20 years. And so people are like, "Oh, could you give me some resources on potty training?" And I'm like, "You know what? You know who's a great resource is Heather."
I've seen a little bit of the potty
Mhm.
training game, and I've had some dogs who have been a little bit tough to potty train, different breeds. So I think that I have a fair amount of tips on the subject. I will say that I think the majority of the tips I'm going to give can be applied to a puppy or an adult dog. I
Mhm.
truly believe that most of what you're going to do for a puppy to potty train them, it's the same kind of stuff that you might need to be doing with a dog who's new to you and is an adult or whatever age they might be. Shall we get started?
Yeah. And I will say the last time I potty trained a puppy, what am I like?
What was the preferred method?
The standard was shove the dog's nose in their own pee,
Oh, yeah.
which I mean, reluctantly did that and didn't like that
Yeah.
and knew that was not the method I wanted to use,
Didn't
but
feel
I
good.
had no real options other than that because I mean, I read all the books and literally they all said the same thing. So
Mhm.
again, I feel like this is a point where we can say if something feels wrong, keep looking for other solutions.
Yeah.
If it's from a moral standpoint. If you just think that's a weird training technique, but you're seeing it work and it's not morally wrong, like,
Mhm. It
maybe give it a
doesn't
try.
feel icky to you? Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't feel icky on your morals.
Or
Yeah,
your conscience? Yeah.
yeah.
I'm gonna come from the standpoint of I do not actually believe that dogs go and potty for spite just to piss you off. I do Christy's making a face already. Here's what I think
No, no,
happens.
I agree, yeah.
I think that dogs learn behaviors, and
Mhm.
sometimes we don't understand the true motivator behind them. And for us, it's easier to be like, oh, blame them and be like, oh, they're just
Oh,
doing
yeah.
this to piss me off.
No,
Or,
I don't believe that, yeah.
yeah, or they're going and peeing in the closet because they're hiding it from me. And I'm going to say the higher probability is they know that when they have an accident in the house, you get really upset and really angry, or you yell, or XYZ. And so they go and find a place to do it where you don't know.
Or they have history of no one yelling at them for
Yes.
that.
Yes.
Yeah, they
Because
have
no
no
one's
punishment
around.
history
Hmm.
there,
Hmm.
so it
Yeah.
feels like an okay place.
Yeah. So let's start out with top tips. Okay. I have a bit of a laundry list of small things that you can do to help facilitate potty training. Now, I do feel that majority of the time, if your puppy or your dog is going in the house, it's probably your fault in the way that you're not being clear. When a dog does have an accident, it's generally because we missed something. And of course, when I say that, this is outside of the dog having a medical issue, right?
Yeah.
If you have a dog who's been fully potty trained for 6 months and suddenly they start having accidents, the
Mhm.
first thing I'm gonna tell you is go to the vet because you could have a UTI issue, you could have, something going on. Obviously, also different medications can cause dogs to drink more, go potty more. So
Mhm.
we're not gonna touch on any of those things today. I just kind of want to note that
Yes.
that if this is a sudden change in behavior, we always want to consult a veterinarian first
Yeah.
and have a full workup.
Mhm.
But
Yes, please don't go to your dog is spiting you first.
yeah,
Go to
no.
immediately think medical issue
Yeah.
first.
Yeah. And for senior dogs, we have a lot of times where they don't have the bladder control that they used to
Mhm.
have. So we need to give some grace there when it
Absolutely.
comes to that as well. Okay. So, barring all of those scenarios, consistency is key. Now, what does that look like? Well,
Yeah.
first and foremost, I tell people if your puppy has just done any of these things, take them out to potty. That
Mm,
would be if your puppy just got a drink, just ate some food, just got done playing, just got up from a nap, just came out of their crate, just got done training, take them out potty. I know that's a laundry list. I
mhm,
understand that that's a lot of trips outside. If I have a puppy here who is brand new to me training, I'm getting approximately 10,000 steps a day in my house. I
mhm,
am taking that puppy out that often. You also want to consider the size of the puppy because their bladder space, I'm learning this with having a French bulldog puppy, their
mm,
bladder space is a consideration into how long they can hold and how
mhm,
often they need to go out. In general, the rule is however many months old your puppy is, that's how long they can hold their bladder. That is only a rule if they are
mm,
immobile. So that means if you have a puppy who is 3 months old, they can nap in general for 3 hours without having to go out and go potty, or they can go 3 hours at night without having to get up and go potty. That does not mean if puppy is taking a nap for an hour and gets up and goes and plays with the toy and goes and gets a drink that you have 2 more hours before puppy has to go out and go potty.
yeah.
No.
It's like humans. Yes, I'm going to sleep 8 hours without getting up, well, as I get older, less of that, but 8 hours without getting up to go to the bathroom, but believe me, when I'm up, running or walking and doing all these things, it's gonna be every few hours.
Yeah,
It's not
when you're
gonna be 8
active.
hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and you wanna take into account the size of your puppy because that truly
sure.
is a factor in the whole thing, and the size of the adult dog as well.
Yeah,
So you definitely want to take that into consideration. Now, prevention is key to part of this whole thing.
yeah,
And prevention happens by you being proactive in many different ways. You are proactive in taking the puppy out after all of the different things that we just talked about. You are proactive in puppy being within your maybe 2 to 3 feet of you at all times.
mm,
So that brings management of said
mhm,
puppy into the conversation. You want to keep the puppy in a managed space that can look different based on what your reality is. So, for me, we have a very large great room in our house. So, we would put the X pen, exercise pen, gate, whatever you have, across the front hall at the gate or at the great room and shut the bedroom door, shut the
mhm,
pantry door. So Trin was in this great room space, but that was still a pretty large space when she was
yeah,
very young. So she was also on a leash.
okay.
So if I am not sitting on the couch and I'm over in the kitchen, Trin is on a leash attached to me, coming along, doing whatever I'm doing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
so you recommend tethering your dog to you with a
You
leash?
know, I do. If you
Mhm,
cannot keep an eye, like, I think you have a couple choices. You can use the tether route, or if you are not actively paying attention to your puppy and you do not want to tether them to you, you've got to put them in an area where they are confined so that you cut down the chances of them having an accident.
mhm,
If they're running around willy nilly in a room that's 20 by 30, guess what? The chances of them going into a corner and having an accident or you getting distracted and going and being
mhm.
like, "Oh, let me just clean out the refrigerator real quick or take out the trash or empty the dishwasher," and all of a sudden 10 minutes have gone past.
Mhm.
Puppy in that time has gone and gotten a drink or, whatever. Your chances of having an accident are way, way, way higher.
And I feel like that's good advice just even I mean, let's just say puppies cannot be trusted. They
Mm,
just cannot be trusted. And so they just get into all sorts of things.
yeah.
Literally watching their every move.
Yeah, my advice is not send them on their merry way and say make good choices. Like that
Right.
is not my advice in any way. You truly do want to manage the way your puppy's interacting with the world. And that could be, they could grab something that you didn't expect them to grab and swallow it, God forbid. They
Yeah.
could get into something toxic. They
Mhm.
could get into some sort of uncomfortable situation. They could sail off the back of your couch and break a leg. I mean, the things that could happen with a puppy on its own accord, just sort
Mhm.
of wreaking havoc, it makes my brain want to explode. So you
Yeah.
do really truly want to manage them pretty closely in those early months when they're home. So the question is, how long does potty training take? What do you think I'm going to say?
I mean, I hope you say an hour.
Yeah, no.
No.
It takes as long as it takes.
Yeah. And I
Sorry.
think we go back to dogs are individuals
Yeah.
and humans are individuals too.
Yeah.
You have to give yourself grace sometimes too to
Mhm.
know sometimes we're not perfect at being consistent and that happens while we try to be as consistent as possible, then
Mhm.
we also need to understand that that causes more time
Yeah.
to allow.
So Trin just hit the 6-month mark. She has had several stints of like 2 to 3 weeks where she's had not a single accident, and I'm like, "Okay, we're there." And then boom, she'll have an accident, and I'm like, me being who I am, I'm picking it apart, right? For
Right?
me, I believe that it is an adjustment in the little dog thing for me
Mm, mhm,
because I think that's gonna be something I have to adjust to, having a smaller dog that has to go out to the bathroom more often, and
mhm,
that is an adjustment in life for me. So, even me, who knows all the right things to do and all of the right answers, it can be difficult. That doesn't mean she's having an accident multiple times a week, but I would not consider her potty trained at this point, and
mhm,
she's
okay,
6 months old. No, I would not.
okay,
To me, potty trained is you haven't had an accident and I trust you fully not to have an accident. And we're going like months,
yeah,
and we're consistently not having accidents. And you're actively holding your bladder.
right.
And obviously I'm missing something because her accidents are at the back door. So
Oh, okay.
she's telling me I know where I'm supposed to go. I know
Mhm,
what I'm supposed to do, and I couldn't hold it.
sure,
That's on me. That is
yeah.
on me or the other person in my house.
It but since she's your dog, it's on you, right?
It's on me. Yeah. So really, really manage your
Yeah,
puppy or dog as much as possible inside.
mhm. And I was gonna ask, and maybe this is better for later, but do you feel like there are some breeds, especially some of the smaller breeds, that maybe don't ever get consistent with potty training?
You know, that's really tough for me from like a training standpoint
Mhm,
because I I would almost, if somebody said to me I could never potty train this dog, I would want to take the dog for 3 months and be like, "Okay, can I
right,
figure it
yeah,
out?" Right?
yeah,
Because it can be really hard and it
sure.
can take someone who is a skilled trainer to actually
Mm,
do it.
mhm,
And I think that that's really difficult for some people. Like the average person is not a dog trainer.
right,
So,
yeah,
and I've had clients come to me. I had one client who came to me and was like pulling her hair out with a smaller type breed and was like, he'll never be potty trained. Like, I don't know what to do. Like, he's literally. And by the time she was done with us for 2 weeks, was he fully potty trained? No. But they had made leaps and bounds. And she didn't have the tools to even
yeah,
get what was going on. And he was more difficult, 100%. But Some of the small things I'm gonna tell people tips on in this episode, she would have not picked up on if she had not actually talked to somebody who had a training background and gave
Yeah.
her really, really solid cues to look out for in her dog.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the reason I asked that is Lucy had 2 accidents in her entire life with me, so 10 years.
Mhm,
One was because the doggy door got locked,
mhm.
and I did not know that the other person in the house had closed that. So she did not have access to the outside for over 12 hours.
That's fair. That's
Yeah,
not an
yeah,
accident. That's like
I was
emergency.
yeah, I was not angry with her at all.
Yeah,
I felt so bad for her. And then the other time was she was drugged at the vet. She just couldn't quite
yeah.
maneuver herself outside. So both times completely out of her control. So I would say like, "Oh, yes, of course she's potty trained." And oftentimes my friends are like who have smaller dogs are like, "Yeah, they're potty trained. They haven't gone to the house and or to the bath." Thank you,
Christy
sir.
has a foster dog, just so everyone knows. So if you hear some background noise, that's her foster.
And he just woke up from a nap, so he is ready to play.
Yep.
But I do have people who have smaller dogs who will think that their dogs are potty trained, and they're having accidents every 2 weeks in the
No,
house. And
that's
I'm
not potty trained.
okay, yeah.
Not in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And so then it made me believe like, well, they're older, maybe there's certain breeds that just can't be
I
potty trained.
do
I don't
think
know.
okay, the little dog people are gonna get mad at me, but now I have a little dog, so I think that there is less motivation to truly potty train a little dog because they make a little mess.
Little accidents, yeah.
Yeah, I do think that part of the it's more difficult to train a little dog is that little dogs actually need to go to the bathroom more often.
Mhm.
I think that that is part of the element of it. It's not
Yeah.
that they're necessarily more difficult. It's like a combination of, no pun intended, little things that
Mhm.
sort of add up. Because, like I said, having this smaller dog is an adjustment with how much she needs to go out and go potty.
Yeah.
Tiago will hold, like, if he didn't feel like going to the bathroom, he would go 10 hours and then just
Yeah.
be like, "Okay, I'll finally go." It's
Oh,
like
yeah.
me. It's like
Lucy
me not wanting to go into a dirty public restroom. I'll
Oh, for
hold it.
sure.
"Thank you
Yeah, I'll
very
just keep
much."
holding it, thank you. Yeah. Oh, if
Yeah,
it was raining out, Lucy was like, "It's fine, I can
yeah.
hold it. I can hold it for 3 days if you want."
And
Like,
I don't think that Trin has, and she's only
no.
6 months, but
Yeah,
even as an adult, I don't think she's gonna have that bladder capacity to be
yeah,
able to do that. So I think that's a factor with, like, the little dog thing.
yeah.
We're going to use this client dog as an example for some of the tips about going outside with your dog. So, when you are taking your dog out or your puppy out
Mhm,
to go potty, everyone's going to hate this one. My belief is you will get potty training done faster if you take them out on a leash.
mhm,
Now, my reason for saying that is a few different things. One, they go out and they're perusing around and they're sniffing this and they're seeing the world and they're experiencing that and they're getting distracted and they have puppy brain and they're like, oh, squirrel. And they are not paying attention to what they're out there to do.
mhm,
So that's one thing. The second thing, you're missing an opportunity to train your dog to go potty on a leash and to actually go potty on cue if you are just letting them willy-nilly go out and not
mhm,
pay attention. The other part of it is if they're going out, you're not there to recognize a single pattern in how they're going about finding their spot, looking for different cues in their body language of when they're actually going to go, looking
mhm,
for consistencies in, oh, they might circle once, or oh, they might do whatever. You are not going to have the opportunity to learn all of those different things, which will help you in the long run
mm,
determine if they're about to go potty in the house. It is also going to help you in the long run learning Did they just want to go outside to see the world, or did they actually have to go potty?
Mhm.
So that will also make your potty training easier. The other reason that I like to take a puppy out on a leash or a dog is because they can actually go out, just release enough to release the pressure on their bladder, and then go back in the house. Cause you hear that all the time. Oh, I took them out, they went, I bring them back inside, they go potty in the house.
Mhm.
I hear it all the time.
Right.
And I'm like,
Crane got me on that one.
yeah,
I'm
did
gonna be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
Just once, but she got
Mhm.
me.
And I think I told you, "Oh, shoot, if she just went a long time or got up, she a lot of times she
Right.
needs 2 pees to fully empty her bladder," and
Yeah,
I forgot to tell you that.
yeah, no big deal.
And I know that pattern because I am
Yes,
actively paying attention to my dog.
exactly.
So, the reason that one of the reasons I believe that that happens is they're going out, they have that intense pressure to pee. They're going just enough, and then while they're squatting, they're like, and they're
Yeah,
not on any leash or anything else, and they are free to chase that leaf or look at that
mhm,
butterfly or bark at that dog, whatever,
yeah,
and they get distracted and they don't finish what they're doing. Whereas if you are in control of that, they're much less likely to squirrel. You are more likely to recognize you literally squatted for a quarter of a second. I know you're not done.
yeah,
Yeah. So the potty on the leash thing, I really, really do believe in for a new dog. I know it's a pain in the butt, you guys. I know you're like, oh, but it's cold. Oh, it's snowing. Oh, it's raining. I know this all sucks.
mhm,
But if you want your potty training to go faster, do it. It will be worth the time investment. I had this situation with my pit bull Lucy that we had many years ago. I had such a hard time potty training her. This would have been 2005. And we lived in Pennsylvania. We had a 3/4 of an acre lot that was fenced in. I used to just let her out and go potty. Why
yeah,
not?
yeah,
And she would come in and she would potty in the house. And I would get so pissed. And I'm
yeah,
like, what in the world? And I talked to somebody, I don't even remember who, and they were like, "You need to potty her on a leash." And I'm like, "Why? I have this big yard. This is why I fenced in the yard." And they explained to me, she's going out, she's taking the pressure off the bladder, and she's going and she's perusing and she's on a nature walk and she's not doing her business. And the advice was take her out on a leash, stand in one spot, give her a couple minutes. If she doesn't go, bring her in, no conversation, no scolding, no nothing. Put her into a crate, wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. Take her right back out, no conversation on a leash, and have her go again. Now, within a week of following this whole thing, she was potty trained, by the way. It
wow.
worked for her. Having said that, not that is that exact scenario is not going to work for every dog.
Mhm,
I have found that some dogs need you to walk. Some dogs need you to walk back and forth
mhm,
6 paces to the left, 6 paces to the right, 6 paces to the left, until they can get comfortable enough to go. Every single dog is going to be different. So that's where, again, paying attention to your dog's body language and paying attention to what they're doing right before they go potty is going to be really, really crucial to you understanding what they need and when
mhm.
they're actually like, hey, I really am going a full potty. The other part of that is if you are the primary person in the house who is potty training this dog, share all of your observations with everyone else in the house.
Yes. That is gonna be so helpful.
Yes,
Yeah,
share everything. The pattern thing is so, so huge. You are looking for consistent patterns. And then obviously, every single time you're going outside, you're taking I mean, you can use kibble. It really doesn't matter. You can use high value if you need to, if you're struggling, use high
mhm,
value. But every time you're going outside and that dog is going potty, the moment that you start to see the stream go to drips, you are marking with a
Mhm,
yes or a clicker or whatever your mark word is, and you are giving a treat. I
mhm,
don't want you to have the treat in your hand. I don't want it to be it's not right. It's in a pocket, it's in wherever.
mhm,
I don't want you to do it. I don't want you to mark
mhm.
when there's a stream of urine coming out. I want you
I
to
think that's a
watch.
common
Yes.
misconception because as soon as it starts like, the dog starts peeing, we mark with the yes.
No.
Yeah.
Because now, what are they gonna do if you're doing any sort of training? They're gonna whip around and be like, "Get a cookie." And
Yeah,
now you have stopped them from emptying their bladder fully to
right.
get that food. What you want is to wait for that stream to start to go to a drip, and
Yeah.
then you can go ahead and you can say yes and offer your cookie.
Mhm.
I do really like a clicker when I'm potty training, but you don't have to use that.
Right.
I like it for my client puppies because it just sort of gives consistency between the people who are training the dog,
Yeah.
but it's certainly not a requirement in any way.
And one reason I would say with consistency, for example, Lucy knew a ton of tricks from me, but if somebody else tried to do those tricks, she would look at them like, you're speaking a foreign language because it was different tones and
Yeah,
different hand actions. And she's
they
like,
are that smart.
I know no tricks. I am so sorry. I know
Yeah.
nothing. Like,
Well, because it's different context.
yeah,
It's just like you teaching something in your house versus teaching it out in the backyard, in the front yard, at the park, at a training facility. It's all different context.
which
So,
is another reason why I think we often will say, like, "Oh, our dog is potty trained," and suddenly we go to a new house or a new
yes.
environment, and they have an accident,
Hmm.
and we're like, "What in the world?"
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, because it is a different environment, it's different context.
yeah,
Especially if there's like a change in the way the house is set up, that can be
mhm,
really hard. If they always go to your back door, if you use a bell, they go somewhere there is no bell. Anything like that can really shake things up. And so if you're taking especially a puppy, if you're taking a puppy to a new place, you want to go back to square one. You want to
mhm,
make the assumption you're not potty trained. We're going to start at step one. And you might go from step 1 to 10 in one day and it's nothing. Well, then
right,
that gives you a lot of great information about that puppy.
yeah,
But yeah, you really do want to err on the side of caution in all aspects when
mhm,
you're working in a different space.
yeah, and if you're getting a slightly older dog, maybe from rescue, like a puppy or a young adult
Mhm.
or even into an adult dog, and the rescue says they're potty trained, and suddenly you're like, "Well, they don't seem potty trained at my house."
Yeah.
Keep that in mind. Just
Yeah,
know that it may take some time for them to learn the routine in your house,
for sure.
and it doesn't mean like the rescue lied to you. It just they were probably potty trained in this one
Yeah.
environment, and now they
Oh,
need to expand their horizon to several different environments.
yeah, and it's different people, different ways of doing
Yeah.
things, all that stuff. I can't hammer home enough how much paying attention to the body language
Mhm,
can really, really, really make things so much easier for someone. And I'm
mhm.
really sorry. I'm going to tell all of you to pay attention to your dog's butt. I'm serious. Pay
Yeah,
attention.
yeah.
You will know if your puppy needs to take a shit. Pay attention. And if
Be
you
a butt watcher.
be a butthole watcher, and if you go outside and they don't go, it just might not be quite ready yet. Assume that very soon it's gonna be ready.
So try again
So
quickly.
try again. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna tell you, you really
Mhm,
need to pay attention to your dog's asshole. That's just the way it goes. The other thing I want to say, just because we had this issue with Trin when she first came home, and it's very, very common, many puppies will eat their own poop. That is another reason to have your puppy on a leash when you are potty training.
Mm. Mhm.
When they go, we're marking, we're pulling them away from the poop. It is not anything good that we want to taste and sample. Go ahead and immediately clean it up, and everything's done. Because believe me, you do not want to have to train that out. You really
Right.
don't, because it's not just something that has to be trained, it's a whole thing. So
Yeah.
just start from the beginning. You literally mark, you could take a step backward, you could run, you could do whatever you want to do. Just move them away from the area
Yeah.
and then clean it up immediately. Don't leave it sit out there.
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that because that's been a real, and the more people I talk to, the more they say, oh, yeah, I had that issue in my puppy. I've never had this issue before, but
Mhm.
many people have told me just during puppyhood that it can be a
Mm.
problem because they're sticking things in their mouths, they're discovering like all that stuff. That is not
Mhm.
something you want them to discover.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. If something is soft, assume they will pee on it. So,
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
rugs, pillows, dog beds,
Dog
blanket,
toys.
blankets, dog toys if they're big enough. If it is soft, assume that they are going to want to go potty on it. So,
Your
manage
mattress.
your mattress. Yes, ma'am.
Mm.
Manage, manage, manage.
Mm.
So, if you are able to keep your puppy only on tile areas or hardwood areas or what have you, do it. If you have an area rug in your space where your puppy is, roll it up. If you have adult dogs who have dog beds that they really love to lay on, you're going to have to make a choice about what that looks like for your adult dogs.
Mm.
Either you sacrifice that time for them, you move it into another space, you deal with it. If you decide that you are going to deal with it, my hot tip is take the cover off the dog bed, put a commercial trash bag over the bedding inside the bed, take
Oh.
duct tape or some sort of good tape, tape the trash bag closed on the underside of the bed, put the covering back on the bed. Yes, it sounds like a plastic mattress pad. However,
'Cause it is,
it is,
basically.
but it's a real cheap way
Yeah.
to save a dog bed, and it allows you to easily clean up if your puppy has an accident. It doesn't let the smell get into the actual bed. It does a lot of things to help facilitate if you need to have those dog beds out for your adult dogs. If it's only your puppy, me personally, no way. They don't get a bed. That is something that's earned because it's a really easy place for them to go and pee. If you have pillows on your couch, I'm sorry, assume that they're gonna get peed on. If they are something you use all the time, maybe you just put it up while you're not using them and get them back down when you are. If you have an ottoman that is cloth, if you have a couch that is cloth, you might want to consider putting some washable pee pads on them so it still feels like natural fabric. So they're learning and it's not a differentiation when you take them away, but you're
Mm.
not running the risk of having your sofa or whatever peed on.
Yeah.
Ideally, you're not having accidents
Right.
because if you can't watch your puppy, where is your puppy?
Yeah. Right.
Your puppy
Right.
is either attached to you or it is in a playpen or an X pen or a crate.
Yeah. But I do think those are good ideas, like, especially if them peeing on the couch is going to send you into a rage. I understand nobody really wants to admit that that's gonna send them into a rage, but I understand a dog peeing on your couch means you have to clean the couch, you have to shampoo it, you have
Mhm,
to all these things. So if
mhm.
you feel like, "Wow, this is really gonna be hard
It's
on our
high stakes.
relationship,"
It's
it's
high
high stakes
stakes.
for me.
Yeah.
Then I would say take those precautions because guess
Mhm,
what? We're all human. And so sometimes you just think you're going to sit on the couch and you accidentally fall asleep watching your
mhm,
show. And then the dog is there still tethered to you,
mhm.
peeing on the couch next to you.
Yep. Assume that accidents are going to happen,
Yeah.
but do your best to prevent them.
Yeah.
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 And the thing is, it's not the puppy's fault. they gotta go, and
Yeah,
they don't understand the concept. To them, they just came from the whelping box where they were just going wherever.
yeah, and
Um,
mom
and
took care of it,
and mom took care
or
of it.
somebody
Um,
took care of it.
a lot of people who are really fantastic puppy raisers, whether that be people who raise litters for rescue or breeders, they're starting puppies on potty training, right? They're
Mhm,
doing potty training in multiple different ways, and you have a head start. But there again, brand new area, brand new space, everything's different. You've got to start at square one and just do your best to kind of get things under control from the start and just assume the worst is going to happen and then
right.
work your way backwards as you make progress.
I guess, so I have a question. I know that you don't recommend necessarily the doggy door for puppies
Mm,
because you're gonna be tethered
mhm.
and you're not crawling out the doggy door with your puppy. But maybe for adult dogs who you thought were potty trained, but maybe aren't as potty trained, and they have access to a doggy door, and you're thinking, well, they have access 24/7. Why are they peeing in the house?
Because they don't
Um,
understand.
Right. Yeah. Can you give some insight? Because I know you have some experience with
Mhm.
a dog who had that problem where they had access
Oh,
to the doggy door, but once they were not using it like we would expect an
mhm.
adult dog to use the doggy door.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning with doggy doors first.
Okay.
My feeling is you train the dog to be potty trained, and
Mhm.
then we bring in the doggy door.
Sure.
Okay. And for all the reasons we've already discussed, that is why that is the best route to go. Now,
Mhm.
having said that, sometimes, as Christy mentioned, you might have a dog that has access to a doggy door and they're still not using it. Well, herein lies the thing that can be a problem with doggy doors. They're outside, you're inside, you don't know what they're doing while they're out there. Why are they not going potty outside?
Mhm.
You can't necessarily put that together if you're not there observing what they're doing. And so, in the case that Christy's talking about, the dog had serious issues with shadow chasing and with tracking light. So, they on an obsessive compulsive level. So, this
Mhm.
was an adult dog that had been adopted, and they were going out the doggy door and chasing shadows, and they could focus on nothing else. They were truly OCD about it. And then
Mhm.
they would come inside and go potty. They still had to go potty,
But they
and
couldn't do it
they could
outside
not
because they could
function
not
outside.
relax, yeah,
Nope, they
enough.
could not relax outside.
Right.
The only reason that we figured out what was happening was because the dog came to me and I was actively taking the dog out on a leash
Mhm.
and put the pattern of behavior together and figured it out.
Yeah.
That was coupled with information from the owner that we put together. But I do not believe if I had not actively walked that dog outside on a leash to go potty over and over and over again, that I would have figured out what was going on. I truly
Yeah.
don't. That's another thing where I'm like, I'm always going to advocate for, listen, I don't have a doggy door. I don't see me in a life where I would have a doggy door. I understand why people have them. I don't
And
have,
I
and you
and
do.
I would say I don't see myself in a life with a dog without a doggy door.
Right. And
That is
it's
one of my hard and
literally,
fast. Like,
yeah.
I don't think
And
I could do it.
it's just a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
And there's nothing, I don't have any judgment either way.
Right, right. Yeah.
But for me, I am going to stick to all day long. You need to train your dog to be potty trained first, and
Mhm,
then allow them to have access to the doggy door.
mhm,
My other part of the doggy door too is if you didn't actively train your dog, your puppy, to be potty trained, how are you going to know if something is off? Like,
mm,
I think you need to like learn that part of your dog so that you
mhm,
can
mm.
also learn what's normal for them and what's not normal for them. On top of what if you go to grandma's house and they don't have a doggy door? Like, you want
Right.
them
Yeah,
to be potty
yeah.
trained.
Right.
And at least have the foundation of the different
Absolutely.
tools to be able to go out and go potty. So, yeah, that's kind of my whole thing with the doggy door. Also, you want to be able to immediately reinforce your puppy when they're going potty, and that's just not possible when you have a doggy door. I mean,
Right.
I can think of a lot of creative ways to do it, but that's getting really nerdy into training, and nobody's going to do that because it's even more work than it would
It's so much
be
more
if you just
than
took your
yeah,
dog out.
yeah.
To me, I'm going to call a doggy door a crutch
Ooh,
with a puppy.
nap. Oh, okay, with a
With
puppy,
a
okay.
puppy. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm going to call it a crutch. I am also going to call pee pads a crutch.
Oh.
For me,
Mhm,
I do not believe in training with pee pads
mhm,
consistently. Are there places where pee pads are useful? Yes. You take a brand new puppy to the vet and
mhm.
they're in the car, put a pee pad down.
Yeah.
You are traveling with your new dog or your puppy, put a pee pad in their kennel.
Mhm,
There are situations where I find usefulness of pee
mhm.
pads. But for
Also
me, yeah,
yeah. Also, not everybody has the luxury of staying home
for
with their dog
sure.
all
For
yeah.
sure.
So if you're like, "Well, how the heck do I do it without pee pads and I'm gone for 8 hours?"
Yeah. And I would say to those people, if you are utilizing pee pads in those scenarios because you cannot come home, potty training will take longer. It
Yeah.
just will. If you try to ultimately get rid of those pee pads, it's going to take you longer. At night, I am not a person who feels like the best route to go if you are trying to potty train as fast as possible is you put the puppy in an X pen, you put some pee pads down, and you go night night and you sleep for 8 hours and you wake up the next morning and your puppy's gone potty on the pee pads and then you take them out to go potty. Does it work? Yeah. Is it gonna take you longer to potentially potty train that dog? Probably. For nighttime potty training, if it is possible, I beg of you, set your alarm for 2 to 3 hours, depending on the size of the puppy. Get up, take your puppy out potty, have your cookie ready, put them back to bed, do it all over again. I know it sucks. I know it's brutal. I know you're tired. I know you have to work. I know all the things.
Mhm.
But if you do it, it will facilitate your potty training so much faster than if you don't do it.
Right.
And you are less likely to have a dog who is going to consistently go potty in an X pen, in a crate, etc. if you are catching them before they do it and getting them outside. Now, having said that, we're going to use Trin as an example.
Mhm.
Little Miss learned that if she cried, every single time she cried, I was gonna take her out to go potty. And I, at one point, was really tired and put her into bed with me so that I could sleep longer. So then she went from going 3 to 4 to 5 hours at night, holding her potty, to crying at 2 hours because maybe, just maybe, I'll put her in bed with me. If you look and you see all of a sudden a pattern that was a typical pattern is, they go from going 5 hours to 2 hours and nothing changed. You didn't feed them late, you didn't give them a big drink of water, nothing changed. You might wanna sit back and be like, "What happened here?
Right.
Did that puppy get wise about something and is taking me for a little bit of a ride?"
Mhm.
And in Trin's case, that is exactly what happened. She wanted to get into bed with me, and she would go outside, go potty, and run right to my side of the bed. And I was like, "You little stink." It took me like 3 nights to catch on to it, and then I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I see
Oh,
what you did there." And I
yeah.
did have to go a few nights where I listened to her whine and throw a little bit of a bitch fit at the 2-hour mark, and I just was like, "Knock it off." And then by, like, the 4th or 5th night, she was consistently going 5 and 6 hours again, and I was like, "Yeah, you got my number for a moment." But
Yeah,
that
and
goes
didn't
back.
you Like, start out by taking her out and then just putting her right back in her kennel?
Yes, yes,
Wow.
yes.
So
It
in
was
case you really did need
I
to go
was
to the bathroom.
yeah, I really was doing that pattern, and then I had a night where I was super tired,
Right,
and I didn't wanna have to get up with her again. It was my fault. I didn't
right.
wanna have to get up with her again, so I just threw her in bed with me and was like, "She's probably gonna sleep way longer,"
Yeah.
and that
But
was
after
enough.
Yeah, but after you had done that and once you realized she had caught on, you went back to putting her back in her
I did.
kennel.
She went right
Yeah,
back in her kennel, and I raised the time that I thought that she could go, and she showed me she could, and we kept going. But when I have a new young puppy, my
yeah,
rule is if they she's her crate is still at 6 months in my bedroom.
yeah.
If she cries at night, at this point, I'm gonna be like, "Knock it off and see." If she really does, because I know her patterns now, she has a certain
Mhm,
cry when she has to truly potty.
mhm,
If she gives me that cry, I'm gonna get my ass out of bed and I'm gonna take her out, but I'm
mhm,
going to put her right back in her kennel.
mhm.
If I think she's taking me for a ride, I'm probably gonna try to ignore it and see. But I have a lot of time into her patterns and learning
Right.
what she's
Yeah.
doing and what she's not.
And when she stayed with me for a few days, she
Mhm.
figured out pretty quickly that any cry, because I had the hallway gated off. So she had access just to my hallway and to the office. The office is at the end of the hallway. So she had access to the hallway and my office. And so she would stand at the gate at the end of the hallway and cry, knowing that I did not know all her cries and patterns. And I would immediately run her out to the bathroom off leash, by the way,
By the way.
at which she would then look at me and run around the entire yard, and I would say, "You better hurry up and go to the bathroom," and she was like, "See ya, sucker,"
And keep in mind, Christy has
multiple
a
times a
really
day.
big yard, you guys. So she was chasing a French bulldog puppy around her yard.
Yeah.
We don't want that to
No,
happen.
no.
Yeah.
I did learn quickly, 1, her cry for the bathroom, but 2, to put her on leash when I thought
Uh-huh.
she needed to go to the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is too, like the other benefit of taking them out on a leash, I always have like I always say, go potty. Like that's my
Yeah,
thing. Somehow with Trin, it turned into potty, potty, potty. It's a
I
triple
love it.
potty. And so since I am consistent with that, she will now, when we go strange places, she
Mhm.
will instantly potty on a leash. Love that. Potty on
Yeah,
cue is beautiful, especially when you have a dog that goes a lot of places. Love it. And so, if you're consistent with that, you can also get to a point, and she does it outside in our yard too now, where all of a sudden you have this dog who is young, but you go outside and you're like, potty, potty, potty. And they're like, okay, and squat and pee, and you're done. And that's a
yeah,
beautiful thing. A potty on cue is beautiful. So that's the other part that you gain from going on a leash because you're constantly like right there and controlling
yeah,
what's happening. The other part of the potty training thing I would say to people is please take your puppies to different places to try to get them to go potty on a leash because if your dog only ever learns to go potty in your backyard, it could make for a really like rough time for
mm,
you and them if you ever travel with them or you ever need to go stay at a hotel, go to grandma's, whatever,
mhm,
because they don't know how to go potty on a leash
mhm,
in a strange area.
mhm.
I just threw
Yeah,
a party because we were at the barn hunt trial a couple weeks ago and Trin did her first poop on leash at
oh,
trial. And I was like,
wonderful.
"Yay!" Um, because
Things we get excited about.
I know, but it's a big deal when a
It
dog is
is.
gonna travel. I have had personal dogs where I didn't work on that with them, and they
Mhm,
were like, "Oh, hell no. I ain't doing that." Actually,
mhm.
Tiago, when he was young, he did not
Oh,
like to poop on a leash at a hotel.
oh,
Yes.
that's
And that's
interesting.
why I ended up putting a poop on cue with him
Mhm.
because it became a problem. We'd be traveling for a weekend and he would hold his poop for like 2 days.
No.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, man.
Yeah, that's an issue. So get your dogs out, get them pottying on leashes in strange places, take them to the park, whatever, and get that consistency going.
Mhm. And I know that can be, difficult if you're like, "No, I love that my dog never poops on leash," because
Mhm.
I never had to take poop bags with me. It was fantastic, let me tell you. But we did run into situations when Lucy was younger where I went up to Flagstaff and was like, okay, go to the bathroom now. And she was like, not on leash. Thank you, ma'am. And the place we were staying did not have a fenced yard that I could
Mhm.
allow her off leash to go to the
Mhm.
bathroom. And so, so she was like, I will just hold my pee and poop forever.
And that's a problem.
That is a problem. Yeah.
Yeah.
In her older age, she was like, I will poop on everything.
I will do
On leash.
anything.
Thanks, Luce.
Yeah. So I really think with potty training, paying attention to every little behavior and cue
Mhm.
and every single little thing and looking for patterns are key. It is
Yes.
key. Oh, I know what I forgot that I wanted to say. If you have a dog who absolutely will not go potty anywhere else but your house, and they're a puppy, this will work best with a puppy, but it could work with an adult dog. When they get up to go potty in the morning, I want you to immediately take them for wherever they sleep, snap a leash on them, have a treat ready to go, take them out your front door,
Mm,
and have them go. Because chances are they're holding it for all night or however long, the longest amount of hours that they are potentially holding it. And you have more of a shot to be able to mark and reward them going,
mhm.
even somewhere as small as your front yard in that moment. So that's like
Yeah.
a little tip if you're really struggling with them to go
Mhm.
somewhere other than their actual yard. And if you're struggling with getting your young dog from the kennel or whatever space that you're utilizing, like say they don't go potty in their kennel, they're holding it, it's wonderful, and the second they step out the door of their kennel they pee.
Mm, mhm.
Move the kennel as close to the back door as you possibly can
Yeah,
and try that and
yeah.
see if you can do that.
Open up that door before you
Open
open
up
up
that
their
door, have
door.
it ready to go, and
Yeah.
literally, you be booking your butt. You got all your supplies ready to go. Run! You know how hard it is to run and pee at the same time?
Right,
Like,
yeah.
yeah, you wanna stack the deck in your favor to whatever you have to get that dog to be outside and going potty before they actually squat. Because
And
I
even if it's inconvenient for a while,
yeah.
that crate will not have to stay by that back door
No,
forever.
no,
So
no.
just know as you're going through it, this is not forever, but, like,
Mm-mm.
if you can live with it for a few weeks
Yeah.
there,
You're gonna get
it's
over it.
really gonna help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point, Christy. Remember, all of these things that you're doing during potty training, it's a snapshot in time. It's a
Right.
snapshot in your puppy's life with
Mhm,
you or your new dog's life with you that is a bit of an inconvenience. But
mhm,
if you really hit it hard and you really, really work hard at it, you're going to get over it faster
mhm,
and then you're going to have a consistently potty trained dog and you're never going to have to think about it again. Whereas if you kind of do it in dribs and drabs and you're not consistent and you're not really working at it, you might be dealing with potty training for like a long time or never. And that is
mhm,
not what the life that I want you to have with your dog.
mm-mm,
Having said that, if you are really struggling and you cannot get over the hump, and you're just really, really struggling and you're feeling angry and upset with your dog, please reach out to a qualified trainer.
yes.
There is access to so many good resources at this point for potty training.
Mhm,
Positive resources. We are not using a newspaper on their nose. We are not shoving their nose in it. We are not doing any of those things. We don't need to. We want to
mhm,
use reinforcement. We want to use consistency and we want to use looking for behavior patterns and management to get
yeah,
them potty trained. If you are still struggling, reach out to resources who can support you so that you can make your way through it.
yeah, absolutely, and there's no shame in that.
No, not at
Yeah,
all.
yeah, and just make your life easier, like, get
Yeah.
it done, yeah, because then you have a whole lifetime of not worrying about it.
Yes, exactly. And if you get then if your dog is older or at any age and they do have an accident, you're like, something's wrong. And
Yeah,
you immediately know this dog is solid on potty training. They just had an accident. Something's not right. We need to go to the
right,
vet.
yeah,
So that's part of it too.
yeah, absolutely.
If you have no interest in potty training, share this episode with anyone who might need it.
Yes.
If you have questions or you have a friend who has questions, send them on over. I'm happy to
Yeah.
answer questions about potty training. And let's make it as positive of an experience as we can for the people and the dogs.
If you've enjoyed this episode, subscribe, rate, and share us wherever you get your podcasts. Also, come on over to Instagram and engage with us at Sometimes There's Side Eye.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Talk to you next time.
Bye.
Bye.